Okay, so let's unpack this. We are back, and today we are absolutely turning up the heat.
Oh, we really are.
We are looking at a heavily pivotal moment in television history, specifically Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode 6.
Right, the episode titled Cornered.
Cornered. And honestly, I think this might be one of the most stressful hours of television I have ever sat through.
It is incredibly tense. And that title, Cornered, it is doing a lot of heavy lifting for the narrative.
It really is.
It isn't just a cool name. It is the thematic glue that holds every single storyline this entire episode together.
Absolutely. This is the part of the story where the pressure cooker just entirely blows its lid off.
Yeah.
And we have a massive stack of sources today to guide us through this. We are pulling from plot summaries, critical reception from heavy hitters like IGN and the AV Club.
Some really great analysis in there.
Definitely. And we also have some fascinating production details from writer Jennifer Hutchison and director Michael Slovis.
It is a brilliant stack of material to work with. And if we look at the core mission of this deep dive, we are really here to unpack 3 specific things.
Lay them out for us.
First, we have the psychology of Walter White's ego, which is just massive and incredibly fragile right now. Second, the shifting sands of Jesse Pinkman's loyalty.
It's just such a great arc.
It is. And third, and perhaps most importantly, Skyler White's terrifying realization of who she's actually married to.
It is a lot of ground to cover. But before we get into the heavy analysis, let's set the scene a little bit for you listening. Because Season 4 really feels different than the previous seasons.
Tension is the key word here. Remember, Gale Boetticher is dead.
Right.
And that event isn't just a plot point. It is radioactive fallout. It is poisoning everything around it. The drug business is tightening its grip, and inside the White household, that external pressure is causing major internal fractures.
Right. And usually when people get backed into a corner, we talk about the fight or flight response. That is the classic biological reaction.
Exactly. Some people fight, some people flee, and as we will see in this episode, some people go out and buy ridiculously expensive muscle cars.
Yeah, that is a very specific reaction to trauma, isn't it? I'm sad, so I need a Dodge Challenger.
A completely rational choice.
Totally. But okay, let's dive into the meat of this. We have to start with the moment that defines this episode. And maybe one of the moments that defines the whole show.
You were talking about the monologue.
I am talking about the one who knocks.
Let's get right into it then. This segment of the deep dive is really about the total disintegration of the White marriage. But to understand the explosion, you have to understand the spark.
Right.
And it starts with Skyler White being afraid.
She is absolutely terrified, and let's look at why. She looks at Walt, and she doesn't see a hardened drug lord.
Not at all.
She sees a high school chemistry teacher who is in way over his head. She suspects he is in danger because of Gale Boetticher's death. She thinks the business is closing in on him.
She thinks he is the one being cornered.
Exactly.
And that is the trigger. She is trying to be sympathetic. She is expressing fear for him. She's saying, essentially, I know you are in trouble and I want to help you.
But Walt hears something completely different.
He takes it as a massive insult.
He really does.
It wounds his pride deeply. You have to remember, Walt has been painstakingly building this Heisenberg persona. So to him, the idea that he is a victim,
right,
that he is someone who needs to be afraid solely of the danger knocking at his door, it is unacceptable to his ego. It makes him feel small.
So he explodes, and we get that famous line. He tells her explicitly, I am the one who knocks.
And what is really fascinating here is that this isn't just a cool line for a t-shirt.
No, not at all.
This is a deep psychological reveal. Walt is showing his Heisenberg persona to Skyler fully for the very first time. He isn't holding back or playing the mild-mannered husband anymore. He's aggressively claiming his importance in the drug trade.
He is bragging, essentially.
He absolutely is. He is soothing his own ego. He is implying very heavily that he was the one responsible for killing Gale.
Which we know isn't exactly how it went down.
Right, but he wants credit for the violence because, in his twisted logic, that makes him powerful, not vulnerable. He is looking at his wife and saying, I am the predator, not the prey.
And Skyler's reaction is just chilling.
It is brilliant acting.
It is. Because she doesn't scream. She doesn't fight back in that moment. She just realizes something profound.
It is the realization that her entire premise was wrong. She thought she wasn't safe with him because of external threats. The cartel, the police, whoever.
Right.
Now she realizes she isn't safe with him because of him. She needs to be safe from him.
It turns the whole dynamic of the show on its head. It is such a massive cultural moment. Our sources highlight that Time magazine actually listed this as one of the best TV lines of the entire year back in 2011.
And it absolutely deserves that accolade. It shifts the entire dynamic of the series. Walt is no longer the bumbling dad trying to survive. He is officially declaring himself the villain of his own story.
So Skyler realizes she is sleeping next to the danger. But here's the irony. While this intense domestic war is happening, there is an actual, literal war happening outside.
The cartel war is seriously heating up.
Let's transition into that. Because Walt isn't the only one being cornered, Gus Fring is in serious trouble.
He really is.
Let's talk about that cold open. The raid on the Los Pollos Hermanos truck. This scene was incredibly visceral.
Brutal. That is really the only word for it. The cartel hijacks the truck, but it is the method that sticks with you. They don't just shoot the drivers in a drive-by.
No, they do something much more calculated.
They divert the truck's exhaust straight into the vents of the trailer.
It is horrifying. It is so efficient and cruel. They kill the 2 guards inside without firing a single shot, just using the carbon monoxide fumes. It is so scientific in a really sick way.
And then they open it up and they find the tubs, the blue meth.
But they don't just steal it and run, do they?
No, they leave a message. Mike Ehrmantraut discovers it later. Written on the stolen container is the phrase, "Estás listo para platicar?"
Which translates to, are you ready to talk?
Exactly. It is a massive warning shot. The cartel is squeezing Gus. They're cutting off his supply lines, attacking his logistics. They are backing him into a corner just as much as Skyler feels backed into a corner by Walt.
It is a great strategic parallel by the writers. Everyone is feeling the walls close in.
And historically, when the walls close in, alliances shift.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next major wedge in the story. The dynamic between Jesse, Mike, and Gus.
This is arguably one of the most interesting shifts in the entire season. Jesse Pinkman, who is basically a complete outcast, is suddenly spending a lot of time with Mike.
Riding shotgun. And Walt hates it.
Oh, he despises it. He confronts Jesse at the super lab. He is jealous and so intensely paranoid.
Walt questions Jesse about all these errands he is running. He thinks Mike is using Jesse for target practice or something. In Walt's mind, Jesse is incompetent, a total liability.
Right. Walt has zero respect for him.
None. So if Mike is taking him along, it must be for some nefarious reason, maybe to kill him out in the desert. Walt literally cannot imagine a world where Jesse is actually valuable to the operation.
But Jesse doesn't see it that way at all.
No, because Jesse finally feels useful. For the first time in a very long time, he is being given real responsibility. So when Walt attacks that, Jesse snaps back. He accuses Walt of constantly discrediting his accomplishments.
Which is entirely true. Walt can't stand the idea that Jesse might be succeeding without him. It threatens his need for absolute control.
And then Walt has an epiphany in the lab. He realizes this isn't an accident. He realizes Gus is intentionally driving a wedge between him and Jesse.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. Classic Gus Fring strategy.
Yeah.
But here is the kicker. It is working. And it is working because Jesse is actually remarkably good at this stuff.
He really is. Let's look at the drug house mission. They go to scout this house where the stolen blue meth is being sold. Mike is cautious, playing the long game. He wants to wait and observe. But Jesse
gets impatient. He takes initiative. He tricks one of the meth users into letting him inside. It is a brilliant moment where his actual knowledge of the street, of the addict mindset, pays off in a way Mike's ex-cop tactics wouldn't.
He gets in, knocks out another guy with a shovel. It is a chaotic success.
And crucially, it gets noticed by the boss.
Yes. Later, outside a diner, Gus Fring comes to meet with them. And this is such a key moment. Gus explicitly compliments Jesse.
Think about the psychological contrast there for Jesse. Walt is constantly berating him, calling him a junkie, telling him he's stupid. Then Gus, this powerful, intimidating kingpin, looks at him and essentially says, "Good job."
It is huge for him.
It boosts his self-esteem immensely. It builds his loyalty. And every single inch of loyalty he gives to Gus and Mike is an inch taken away from Walt.
And while Jesse is out there getting accolades from the boss, Walt is, well, let's be honest, Walt is completely spiraling. He is not handling the loss of control well at all.
He is on an absolute ego trip, a petty tyranny tour, if you will.
That is a great way to put it. Let's talk about the car wash. He finally gets the keys from Bogdan Wolinets. This has been a long time coming for Walt.
The handover. Now, this should just be a straightforward business transaction, but it is deeply personal for Walt.
Because Bogdan gets in one last dig, right? He insults Walt on his way out. He implies that Walt isn't really the boss type, that he isn't tough enough.
He does. And Walt, being Walt, simply cannot let it slide. His ego won't allow it. So he sees Bogdan's framed first-earned dollar hanging on the wall.
And he demands it. He makes him leave it.
He refuses to let Bogdan keep it. But the kicker is, he doesn't just take it to hang it up himself. He shatters the frame. He takes that specific dollar bill and uses it to buy a soda from the vending machine.
That is just so incredibly petty.
It is the dictionary definition of petty, but symbolically. It shows his intense need for total dominance. He needs to crush Bogdan completely, even in the smallest, most insignificant matter.
Right. He can't just win the business war. He has to salt the earth. He needs to show that what Bogdan values, that hard work, that history of building a business, means absolutely nothing to him.
It is a flex, a really weird soda-based flex.
Yeah.
And speaking of throwing money around to feed his ego, we have to talk about the car.
Oh boy. The Dodge Challenger.
Walter Jr. has been begging for a car. And Walt, in this manic, high-on-his-own supply state, just gives in.
He buys it, a massively flashy, bright red Dodge Challenger.
Which is completely insane. They're supposed to be actively laundering money. They have a delicate cover story about a gambling addiction, sure, but flashing that kind of cash on a sports car, it screams, look at me to the IRS.
It is deeply reckless. It endangers their entire cover story. But Walt doesn't care about safety right now. He is driven by the need to be the provider.
He wants to be the cool dad.
Exactly. He wants to buy affection and prove his status to his son. He wants to drive something that reflects how powerful and dangerous he feels after that I am the one who knocks speech.
It is a midlife crisis on steroids. It is hubris, pure and simple.
But, the hubris gets so much darker in this episode. It isn't just about buying cars and breaking picture frames. It is about how he treats vulnerable people. We really have to talk about the laundry incident.
This is a genuinely difficult scene to watch. Because Jesse is off with Mike, Walt is left to clean the super lab all by himself.
And he thinks he is far too good for that. He is the great Heisenberg, the master chemist. He shouldn't be scrubbing chemical tanks.
He feels it is entirely beneath him. So his laziness and his arrogance kick in. He goes upstairs and he bribes 3 of the industrial laundry workers, women who are just trying to do their jobs, to come down into the secret lab and help him clean.
He literally brings them into a multi-million-dollar cartel meth lab.
He exposes them to the biggest secret in the Southwest. He violates the one absolute rule Gus has, which is total secrecy.
And there are immediate consequences.
Severe consequences. Tyrus Kitt catches them. And the rule is strict. No witnesses. Tyrus tells Walt that because they saw more than they should have, they are being deported.
They are put on a bus and sent back to Honduras.
Their entire lives are ruined. Upended. Simply because Walt didn't want to scrub a tank.
And the really messed up part, does Walt even care?
That is the chilling part, the sources point out. It highlights his growing, massive lack of empathy. He views these women as collateral damage.
Just tools.
Right. Tools that he used and broke. It highlights just how far he has fallen from the man in season 1 who started this supposedly to leave money for his family. Now he is actively destroying other families just for his own convenience. He barely registers it as a tragedy.
It really paints a stark picture of a man who is losing his soul piece by piece.
Or perhaps, as some critics argue, revealing the total lack of one that was always there.
So Walt is out buying muscle cars and deporting innocent workers. Where is Skyler in all of this? Because she's the one who actually has to deal with the reality of his actions at home.
Skyler's having a full-blown existential crisis.
Rightfully so. After that speech, the I am the one who knocks speech, she just leaves.
She packs up baby Holly and she flees the house. She just drives. And she ends up at the Four Corners Monument.
That is such a specific visual. The spot where 4 states meet. Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona.
It is a literal physical crossroads to match her deeply metaphorical one. She stands there, looking out. She's genuinely contemplating escaping. She thinks about crossing into Colorado. She thinks about just keeping her foot on the gas and disappearing.
And then she flips a coin.
She flips a coin. She is leaving her entire life up to chance. Heads I go, tails I stay.
Now, the outcome of the coin toss isn't explicitly detailed as heads you go, tails you stay, but she looks at it. And she reconsiders.
She slides the coin back over the state line with her foot. It is a really powerful, quiet moment. She realizes she is trapped. She realizes that chance isn't going to save her.
Yeah.
She is trapped by her circumstances, by her family, by her own complicit choices, and she decides she has to return home.
She goes right back into the lion's den.
She does. And when she gets there, what is the first thing she finds?
That ridiculous bright red Dodge Challenger sitting proudly in the driveway.
The ultimate symbol of Walt's recklessness, it is almost haunting her.
And this is where Skyler takes control again, which is fascinating. She doesn't scream at him. She doesn't throw things. She just coldly demands he return the car.
She points out the basic logic. It contradicts their gambling cover story. It puts them at immense risk. She steps up and becomes the rational actor again.
And Walt tries to argue, of course. He says Walter Jr. will be heartbroken. He tries to play the good dad card against her to manipulate her.
But Skyler accepts that. She accepts that she will have to play the bad guy to her own son. She accepts that Walter Jr. will deeply resent her for taking the cool car away.
Wow.
She is willing to sacrifice her relationship with her son to literally save his life from his father's ego.
And then she delivers that line, the one that circles all the way back to the beginning of the episode.
Someone has to protect this family from the man who protects this family.
Oof. That just hit so hard.
It is the perfect narrative bookend to I am the one who knocks. Walt claims he's the ultimate protector, the danger to others. Skyler perfectly identifies that he's the actual danger to the family, and she is the only shield they have left.
It creates this incredible, suffocating tension for the rest of the season. The battle lines are completely drawn.
And the critics absolutely noticed how well crafted this was.
They sure did. Let's look at the critical reception for a minute.
It was overwhelmingly positive across the board. Seth Ahmedin from IGN gave it a 9.5 out of 10. He flat out called it an extraordinary episode.
And Alan Sepinwall over at HitFix called it his favorite of season 4 up to that point, and he watches a lot of TV.
Donna Bowman at the AV Club gave it a solid B+. And as we mentioned earlier, Time magazine loved the monologue so much they honored it at the end of the year.
Even years later, The Ringer ranked it the 22nd best episode out of the entire series run of 62 episodes. That is incredibly high praise considering how many amazing episodes Breaking Bad has.
And we really cannot forget the acting accolades. Anna Gunn, who plays Skyler, submitted this specific episode for consideration for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress.
She definitely deserved the recognition. The emotional range she shows in this hour, from sheer terror to flight to this icy resolve at the end, is just incredible.
It really is a masterclass in subtle acting.
So let's summarize what we have unpacked here today.
We have Walt's hubris violently exploding outwards. We have Jesse finding a new, empowering role and being slowly pulled away from Walt's toxic gravity. And we have Skyler fully realizing the true, terrifying nature of her husband.
So what of this episode is huge for the series?
It establishes the major lines of division. It is Walt versus Gus. It is Walt versus Jesse. And it is Skyler versus Walt. This episode completely sets the trajectory for the chaos that follows in the rest of season 4.
It really does. It is the moment the roller coaster slowly reaches the top of the hill and starts that terrifying plunge.
A very, very steep plunge.
Before we sign off today, I want to leave you listening with a final thought. A provocative question to chew on as you think about this show.
I think the big question this episode raises is all about justification.
Go on, lay it out.
As you watch this, you should ask yourself, when does protecting the family become a hollow excuse for just becoming the villain? And specifically for Walter White, at what exact point did he stop doing all of this for his family and start doing it simply for the sheer rush of knocking on that door?
That is the ultimate question of the show, isn't it? Was it ever really for the family? Or was it always, deep down, just about his ego?
I think the answer might be hiding in that smug smile when he buys this sports car.
Or the petty way he buys that soda with Bogdan's dollar.
Exactly. The truth is in the small, cruel details.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for listening to this deep dive into Cornered.
Keep knocking out there.
Yeah.
Or maybe don't.
Ha! Yeah, maybe just belatedly ring the doorbell. We will see you next time.